This video will prepare you to pass the NYSTCE EAS exam. Today, we'll cover 3 things: what content will be covered on the test and how to study for it, the most likely concepts or themes you will see on the exam, and we're going to look at a few practice questions. For our full study guide, click the link right here or the one in the description. More information about that at the end of this video. In this video, we'll cover 1. The exam structure, 2. The competency breakdown, 3. Understanding your score, 4. Strategies for preparation. Let's start with our exam structure. So, what's this NYSTCE EAS exam all about? Well, it's designed to test your general pedagogical knowledge through some pretty realistic classroom scenarios. So imagine you're stepping into a classroom and encountering real-life teaching challenges. Well, that's basically what you'll be doing on this test. Like I mentioned before, the exam is broken down into 5 competencies. Competencies 1, 2, and 3 are like a classroom adventure. You'll get a set of exhibits, which include descriptions of a class, student, or a group of students, along with sample lesson plan and some class data. For each exhibit set, you'll answer about 4 multiple choice questions. It's like solving a puzzle based on the scenarios you see. Each of these competencies also includes 1 constructed response question. This means you'll need to write a bit to show your deep understanding. Competencies 4 and 5 are more straightforward. The multiple choice questions with no exhibits involved, so they might be a bit quicker to breeze through. Now, let's talk numbers. There are 45 questions in total. 42 of those are multiple choice and 3 are constructed response questions. Your final score is a mix of these 2 types of questions. The multiple choice questions account for 70% of your score, while the constructed responses make up remaining 30%. Right now, you may be thinking, this sounds like so much work. Why does this even matter? Well, this exam is a crucial step for all aspiring educators in New York State. It helps ensure that you have the skills and knowledge needed to educate all students effectively. Now, it's time to break down those competencies even further. Let's start with Competency 1. Diverse student populations. This one is all about effectively addressing the needs of diverse students, creating a sense of community among students, and promoting students' appreciation and respect for diversity. We know that students come from all sorts of backgrounds and have different needs and strengths. To make sure we're reaching everyone, it's crucial to get to know your students early in the year. And I'm not just talking about their favorite ice cream flavor. We're talking about their learning styles, cultural backgrounds, and personal interests. One great way to understand your students is through activities like All About Me projects or interest inventories. These tools can help you tailor your instruction and meet diverse needs and preferences. Now, let's chat about maintaining a growth mindset. This means embracing challenges and learning from mistakes and believing that every student can grow with the right support. But how do you make this mindset a part of your classroom culture? Incorporate strategies like positive reinforcement and celebrate small victories. Share stories of famous people who overcame obstacles and make sure your feedback is constructive and encouraging. Moving on to promoting family and student participation. Families are a huge part of the learning process. How can we get them involved and make them feel part of the school community? Hold inclusive events like family fun nights or cultural celebrations. These events not only involve families, but also give students a chance to share their culture and interests. And don't forget, use a variety of communication methods. Emails, newsletters, phone calls to keep everyone in the loop. And while we're on this topic, let's talk about strategies for promoting a sense of community. A welcoming classroom environment goes a long way in making students feel like they belong. Design your classroom to be safe and an inviting space. Use inclusive materials in your classroom library and display work from all students. Remember, a well-organized, flexible space helps students feel more comfortable and engaged. Next up, research-based strategies for inclusive teaching. One approach you'll definitely want to use is Universal Design for Learning, or UDL. UDL is all about providing multiple means of representation, engagement, and action or expression. This means offering different ways for students to access the content, demonstrate their learning, and stay motivated. For example, instead of just giving a lecture, use videos, interactive activities, and hands-on projects. Provide options for students to show what they've learned through writing, speaking, or drawing. And always offer choices to keep students engaged and motivated. Next up, Competency II, English language learners. This section is devoted to students who come from non-English speaking backgrounds. To start, we'll cover the stages of learning a new language, strategies to boost oral and written proficiency, and how to effectively collaborate with ESL and bilingual programs. Let's break down the stages of language acquisition. Understanding these stages help us tailor our teaching to meet students where they are. Here is a quick overview. Stage 1, pre-production. This is the silent period where students are absorbing the language, but not yet speaking much. They might understand more than they can express. Stage number 2, early production. Students start using short phrases and single words. They begin to make simple sentences and can respond to questions. Number 3, speech emergence. Vocabulary expands, and students start forming more complex sentences. They can engage in basic conversations and understand more detailed content. Number 4, intermediate fluency. Language use becomes more fluent and accurate. Students can discuss a variety of topics and understand complex concepts. And number 5, advanced fluency. Students use the language almost as fluently as a native speaker. They can engage in academic discussions and express themselves with nuance. Knowing these stages help you gauge where your students are in their language learning journey and how to support them effectively. Now, let's talk about approaches for promoting oral and written proficiency in English. Here are some strategies to boost both speaking and writing skills. For oral proficiency, use activities like group discussion, role plays, and language games. Encourage students to use new vocabulary in context and provide opportunities for them to practice speaking in a supportive environment. For written proficiency, provide structured writing exercises like sentence frames and writing prompts. Always encourage peer review and offer feedback that focuses on both grammar and content. It's also important to recognize common patterns in learning, like overgeneralizations. This happens all the time when students apply grammar rules too broadly. For example, a student might say, "I run it," instead of "I ran." Overgeneralization is a natural part of language learning. Address it by providing clear explanations and plenty of practice with irregular verbs and exceptions to the grammar rules. Now, let's chat about collaboration with ESL and bilingual education programs. Working with ESL and bilingual educators can greatly enhance your students' learning experience, so collaborate with ESL teachers. Be open to using co-teaching models where both you and the ESL teacher work together in the classroom to support language development. This ensures that students get consistent support across all of their classes. Effective professional communication and collaboration is the key to supporting inclusion. So, share insights about student progress and challenges with your colleagues and be open to learning from each other. Regular meetings and clear communication channels help ensure that all educators are on the same page, which is crucial for students' success in their language acquisition journey. Now, let's talk about Competency III, students with disabilities, and other special learning needs. Whether you're a teacher, administrator, or just passionate about inclusive education, knowing how to support students with disabilities is crucial. First, let's explore the 13 classifications of disability under IDEA. Understanding these can really help you tailor your teaching strategies to meet each student's needs. Here is a quick overview. Specific Learning Disability, SLD. Challenges with reading, writing, or math. Accommodations might include extra time on tests or using assistive technology. Other health impairment, OHI. Conditions like ADHD or chronic health issues. Students may need frequent breaks or flexible sitting arrangements. Autism Spectrum Disorder, ASD. Difficulty with social interactions and communication. Visual supports and structured routines can be helpful. Emotional Disturbance, ED. Struggles with emotional regulation and behavior. Implementing a consistent behavior management plan can be beneficial. Speech or language impairment, SLI. Issues with communication, so speech therapy and visual aids can support these students. Intellectual disability, ID. Below average cognitive functioning. Simplified instructions and hands-on learning are often effective. Hearing impairment, HI. Partial or total hearing loss. Assistive listening devices and visual cues are key accommodations. Deafness, complete hearing loss. Sign language and closed caption materials are essential. Visual impairment, VI. Partial or total vision loss. Braille materials and large print text are common accommodations. Blindness, complete loss of vision. Again, Braille and audio materials are crucial. Orthopedic impairment, OI. Physical disabilities affecting movement. Accessible classroom setups and assistive devices help support these students. Multiple disabilities, MD. A combination of disabilities. Individualized strategies are required based on the specific needs of each student. Traumatic brain injury, TBI. Brain injury from an accident or trauma. Accommodations might include cognitive supports and a modified schedule. Next, let's talk about individualized education programs, IEPs, and responsive intervention, RTI. An IEP is a detailed plan that outlines specific accommodations, modifications, and support for a student with disabilities. They include present levels of performance, or how the student is currently performing. Measurable annual goals, what the student should be achieving in a year. Special education and related services, the type and amount of services that will be provided. Accommodations and modifications, adjustments that are needed for the student to succeed. And finally, assessment, how the student's progress will be measured. Understanding each section of an IEP and how to use the data is crucial for providing effective support. Similarly, RTI is a tiered approach to identifying and supporting students with learning and behavior needs. Finally, let's cover legal rights and ethical considerations. It's essential to understand the regulations around eligibility assessments and the rights of students with disability. So make sure to facilitate inclusion. Advocate for and implement inclusive practices in your classroom. Recognize unethical practices. Be aware of exclusionary practices or any form of discrimination against students with disabilities. Maintain confidentiality. Protect student privacy and handle sensitive information with so much care. Remember, every student deserves a supportive and inclusive learning environment. Teacher responsibilities is next, and it's an important one. First up, let's talk about legal rights and responsibilities. As educators, there are several key responsibilities you need to be aware of. Duty to report suspected abuse. It's your legal obligation to report any suspected abuse or neglect. This helps ensure the safety and well-being of students. Following IEPs and 504 plans. You must implement the accommodations and modifications outlined in these plans with fidelity. This means accurately following the strategies designed to support students with disabilities. Collecting data and engaging in RTI. Regularly collect and analyze data on student performance and behavior. Participate in the response to intervention (RTI) process to provide targeted support and track progress. Continuing your education. Engage in professional development and self-reflection. This helps you stay updated with best practices and continually improving your teaching skills. Advocacy is so important. This is all about ensuring that every student gets the support they need to thrive. Here's how you can make a difference. 1. Advocating for services and support. Make sure students with special needs receive the necessary supports, services, and technology. This might involve working with special education staff, coordinating with outside agencies, or requesting additional resources. Number 2, ensuring safety. Always prioritize student safety, both physically and emotionally. Address any concerns promptly and work to create a safe, supportive learning environment. Lastly, let's talk about interactions with students, parents, colleagues, and administrators. Building strong professional relationships is so key to a successful school environment. So with students, build rapport by being approachable and showing genuine interest in their well-being and success. Set clear expectations and provide consistent support. With parents, communicate openly and regularly. Share updates on their child's progress and involve them in their child's education. Always be respectful and considerate of their perspectives. With colleagues, collaborate effectively with co-teachers, related service providers, and other staff. Share your insights, plan together, and support each other to enhance student learning. With your administrators, maintain open lines of communication with school leaders. Keep them informed about their students' needs, successes, and challenges. Be proactive in seeking support and resources when needed. Finally, let's discuss Competency V, school-home relationships. We'll explore how to address concerns, maintain regular communication, and involve parents in their child's education. Plus, we'll discuss ways to break down barriers and ensure all families can participate. First up, effective communication strategies with parents and guardians. Building strong partnerships with families is key to student success. So here are some tips for effective communication. 1. Respond promptly and professionally. When a parent raises a concern, address it as soon as possible. Be calm, listen actively, and provide clear, thoughtful responses. Number 2, involve administrators when needed. If a situation is particularly challenging or if you need additional support, don't hesitate to involve an administrator. They can provide guidance and help mediate difficult discussions. Be transparent and honest. Share relevant information about student progress and any issues that arise. Honesty builds trust and helps parents feel involved in their child's education. Next, let's discuss factors affecting communication and collaboration. Regular communication with families is crucial, and here's how you can make it effective. Use multiple channels. Communicate through various methods: emails, phone calls, newsletters, and parent-teacher conferences. This ensures that information reaches all families regardless of their preferred communication style. Set a consistent schedule. Regularly update families on their child's progress and school events. Consistency helps parents stay engaged and informed. Provide clear and concise information. Make sure your communications are easy to understand. Avoid educational jargon and be straightforward about what parents need to know. Now, let's dive into strategies for involving parents and guardians in education. Getting parents involved can really enhance their child's learning experience. So, here's how you can encourage their participation. Host inclusive school events. Plan events at various times to accommodate different schedules. Consider offering childcare during meetings or school events to make it easier for all parents to attend. Remove barriers. Think about the specific needs of working, ELL, or low-income parents. Provide translation services, arrange transportation, or even ensure events are accessible to everyone. Encourage participation. Invite parents to volunteer, join school committees, or participate in classroom activities. Make them feel valued and important in their child's educational journey. For example, you might schedule a morning and evening session for a parent workshop so you can accommodate different work schedules. Or you could partner with local organizations to provide transportation options for families who need them. All right, for our last section, let's dive into the nitty-gritty, understanding your score. Let's start with the long-form answers. When you tackle those constructed response questions, here's what the scorers are looking for. Number 1, your content. They want to see how well your response meets the requirements of the assignments. Are you hitting the right notes? Analysis, synthesis, and application of pedagogical principles. Show them how well you understand and engage with the provided scenarios. It's all about how you apply what you know. 3, command of evidence. Your response should be backed up with relevant support. This means using specific details from the exhibits to strengthen your answer. Now, those written responses will be scored on a scale from 1 to 4. Number 4, you've nailed it. Thorough command of knowledge and skills. Number 3, good job. General command of the relevant knowledge and skills. 2, somewhat on target. Partial command of the knowledge and skills. Number 1, needs improvement. Little or no command of the relevant knowledge and skills. If you get a U, that means unscorable. Response is off topic, unreadable, or doesn't meet the assignment requirements. B means you didn't respond at all. Now let's talk about the test as a whole. After the test, you'll get a score report that breaks everything down for you. Number 1, total score. This is based on your correct answers for multiple choice questions and your scores for the constructed response questions. 2, safety net and passing requirements. These are the minimum scores set by the New York State Commissioner of Education. Scaled scores range from 400 to 600. A scaled score of 500 is the safety net requirement, and 520 means you passed. 3, test status. Pass. Your scaled score is 500 or higher. Did not pass. That means your scale score is below 500. Hey, if this happens, don't worry. Your score report will guide you on how to prepare for a retake. 4, detailed performance information. That includes competency performance. See how you did in each competency, showing your strengths and areas for improvement. Constructed response items. Get performance indices for each constructed response question. These show how well you did compared to the passing requirement. 5, performance index definitions. 4 pluses, well above the passing requirement. 3 pluses, at or above the passing requirement. 2 pluses, just below the passing requirement. 1 plus, well below the passing requirement. Hey, and there you have it. With this info, you're all set to tackle those constructed response questions and understand your score report like a pro. Keep calm, write clearly, and show off your teaching skills. Now that you understand the NYSTCE EAS exam, let's talk about preparation. In this section, we'll go over a few key study strategies. First, let's talk general study tips. Think of these as your training wheels for the big exam bike ride. Tip number 1, create a study schedule. You wouldn't run a marathon without training, right? Same thing here. Make a study schedule that is as consistent as your morning coffee routine. Set aside specific times each week dedicated to studying. Number 2, break it down. Trying to study all of the competencies in one sitting is like trying to eat a pizza in one bite. Don't do it. Break it down into smaller chunks. Tackle one competency at a time, and remember, no pizza was ever conquered without a few slices. Number 3, use practice tests. Practice tests are your best friends here. It's like having a cheat sheet, but without the guilt. They help you get used to the format and pinpoint areas where you might need a bit more practice. Number 4, stay positive and take breaks. No one likes a cranky student. Take regular breaks and do something fun. Then come back to your study materials refreshed and ready to conquer. Now, for the resources and materials. Here's what you'll need in your study toolkit. The official NYSTCE preparation materials. These are like the holy grail for your exam prep. They've got sample questions, test formats, and everything you need to get in the zone. Study guides and textbooks. Check out 240's guide, specifically designed for the EAS exam. They break down each competency in detail. Online forums and study groups. Hey, join an online community where you can share tips, ask questions, and get support from fellow test takers. It's like a study party, minus the awkward small talk. Apps and online courses. There are a ton of apps and courses that can help you study on the go. Perfect for those moments when you're stuck in traffic or waiting for your coffee. For example, 240's online resources are a great place to access virtual lessons, practice questions, and more. And that's the end of our last section. Let's get into the practice questions from the exam.
This reading and question set go with study material about differentiating for different factors that affect learning, like home life, cultural background, ability level, and disabilities. This example focuses on best practices for teaching students with disabilities. Let's take a look. Ms. Silva teaches a 6th through 8th grade self-contained classroom designed to meet the diverse educational needs of 12 students with disabilities. At the beginning of the school year, Ms. Silva focuses on creating a welcoming and structured environment where students can succeed academically and socially. The small class size allows for personalized attention and more intensive instruction and support. Ms. Silva is concerned about Stephanie, a student with auditory processing disorder, APD. She has been showing difficulty following directions in the classroom. During discussions and verbal instructions, she often seems confused and unable to follow along with the rest of the class. Stephanie responds better when instructions are given visually rather than verbally. She regularly avoids participating in activities that involve listening for extended periods, and she's visibly more comfortable and engaged with tasks that allow her to see or manipulate materials directly. Stephanie prefers to work alone and often retreats to the calm corner when feeling overwhelmed, often when there is a background noise or multiple simultaneous conversations. Ms. Silva recently conducted learning style inventories to assess each student's preferred methods of learning and areas of difficulty. Stephanie's responses reflected a low awareness of how her APD impacts her learning. Ms. Silva plans an individual lesson with Stephanie to help improve her self-awareness. Here are some excerpts from Stephanie's IEP. Let's take a look. And here is an excerpt from Ms. Silva's lesson plan draft. Which of the following learning theories best aligns with Ms. Silva's lesson plan, which aims at helping Stephanie's self-discovery and reflection about her learning experiences? A. Constructivism, B. Behaviorism, C. Cognitivism, or D. Social learning theory? Got your answer ready? The correct answer is A. Constructivism is based on the idea that learners construct their own understanding through experiences. Ms. Silva's lesson plan aligns with this theory because it encourages Stephanie's engagement in self-discovery and reflection, allowing her to construct an understanding of her own learning preferences. All of the following accommodations would help Stephanie, who has an auditory processing disorder, except A. Using speech-to-text software to assist with processing auditory information. B. Providing written instructions and visual aids alongside verbal instructions. C. Allowing extended time for tests and quizzes. Or D. Allowing Stephanie to use fidget tools to help her focus during lessons. The correct answer is D. Fidget tools have the potential to help certain students focus. However, they are not specifically intended to address the needs associated with APD. Stephanie's challenges are related to processing auditory information, and fidget tools will not directly help with this issue. And finally, which of the following best explains why it is important for Stephanie to understand her own learning style? A. To enable her to self-advocate for the learning strategies and accommodations that best support her success. B. So she can choose to work with peers with similar learning styles. C. To help her complete assignments more effectively. Or D. So she can choose to focus on subjects that match her strengths. The answer is A again. Stephanie's awareness of her own learning style allows her to effectively communicate her needs to teachers, parents, and peers. By understanding the strategies and accommodations that work best for her, she can ensure that she gets appropriate support. This self-advocacy is crucial for long-term educational success and personal empowerment.
Congratulations on finishing the video. If you found it helpful, give it a like. There's still plenty more to learn. Did you know that our study guide has hundreds of practice questions? If you really want to make sure you're prepared for the NYSTCE EAS exam, take the next step and subscribe to the 240 Study Guide. It has hours of videos so you can watch or listen while doing chores. It is also test-aligned, so you know precisely what you need to study. And it has hundreds of practice questions, so you can be sure you're ready. And don't forget, it has the money-back guarantee. So, click the link below right now to get started.